Hey everybody, welcome back to the All Juvecast, and we're gonna talk some Juventus news. But first, we're gonna say hi to all the boys on the panel. We got Joey Guns up top here, Eric and Anthony. How you guys doing? Oh, we lost Eric. That's how good he's doing.
Living the dream, Al. Every day, buddy. Living the dream.
Nice. Lewis, it's been a while, man.
I know. I figured, after the long season that we had together, which was the Super League, Porto, Milan, it's time to take a break.
Yeah. Oh man, Eric, we lost you for a sec.
Yeah. As soon as you asked what I was doing, I left and I came back. Just real quick, Into's daughter. I think we all just want to say a big happy birthday. So, tanti auguri cara mia. Spero tu abbia fantastica giornata.
There you go.
Happy birthday, Maya.
Big birthday shout out to Maya. Happy birthday from all the fellas here today. All right. Well, Juve news. So, Locatelli, standstill. Nothing happening. Rugani, fourth center back going into this season. Ramsey as regista. Somebody asked me how my day was the other day. This was my answer. To go like this, where do we even fucking begin? Okay, the financial situation, is it it's most likely worse than I think any of us actually imagine, right? Fair to say. Nobody thought Locatelli's deal would actually require any of these other moves. And honestly, there hasn't been any moves. The Romero money coming in is actually not much. And Demiral is a loan. There's an option to purchase. Who knows what's going to end up happening with that? But we'll kick it off with that. Demiral going to Atalanta and finalize that deal. I think it's good for him. I think he needs the minutes. But how do you feel about Juve now with the fourth center back being Rugani into this season? How do you guys feel about that one?
Let's start off with Schwarzenegger up here. This guy, look at these guns. 1, 2. We're going to start off with him.
Since the guns are out, I'll go first. So I hate having to see Rugani again, but I think the Demiral move is probably for the best. I love Mary Demiral. I think he could be really, really good. But the reality is he's sitting fourth behind the late Chiellini and Bonucci, and especially Chiellini and Bonucci coming off of a great Euro. He's never going to get the minutes that he's looking for. So I don't think he'd probably play much. Rugani, he doesn't need to play many minutes. He's just kind of there as relief. Allegri knows him a little bit better. So I think, hopefully Demiral has a good spell at Atalanta. We can make some money off of him in the summer. Sucks to see him go, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Guys, Anthony, Rugani?
I think the reoccurring theme of this episode is going to be we don't know what the financial situation is, but it's starting to come a little bit clear based on the whole Locatelli saga. I think based on getting Demiral out, he's a player that wanted more minutes. So it's good for the player. It's good for the club. We have a lot of games this season. I don't mind Rugani staying as a fourth center back. Coppa Italia games, playing against Crotone or those type of clubs. So I don't have an issue with him staying at all. I think his wages are a little bit lower. So based on the financial situation, we're not going to go out and find another center back, right? That's going to want to sit fourth in the rotation. So to me, it's a wash. I don't mind Demiral leaving. I don't mind Rugani staying in fourth.
That's the funny thing about the whole situation. If Juve was expected to potentially bring in Milenkovic, he's 23 years old. Mary Demiral's 23 years old. So you got one 23-year-old that doesn't want to wait it out for Chiellini or whatnot, And even though Chiellini's minutes need to be matched, and Bonucci's not getting any younger, and he also looks completely different when he's not playing next to Chiellini. But then you have another 23-year-old that, no, I need to start now. So it's weird, man. And is Milenkovic that far off Demiral? like if we're speaking honestly, like in terms of playing, because a lot of people preferred Milinkovic to Demiral. Eric, what do you think?
I'm kind of in agreement with everybody thus far in terms of just Demiral's situation being a wash. I think Anthony kind of hit the nail on the head there. It's like, who are you going to find to accept a fourth center back role given who's in front? I wasn't a huge fan of Demiral. I'm probably in the minority in that. But given the pros and cons with him, i.e. injuries, playing time, I think it kind of evens out to what Rugani can give you. And I think he's serviceable in the matches that you need to rest your main guys. But in terms of Milinkovic and Demiral, I think they're rather comparable. But I don't think you get a guy who's just used to starting multiple games and bring him in and tell him to sit. I think our hands were pretty much tied with that.
Yeah. Well, I wish him the best at Atalanta. Atalanta's making some moves. They're doing well. Just
Whatever.
probably in Serie A, one of the best run clubs for a while now. But whatever. I'm not worried about it. We'll be all right. Locatelli deal. Standstill. Last meeting was last week. Not another one set up. Juan here saying that he's been really worried for a few days, but most journalists saying our Juve is keeping calm. And he goes, I feel Juve is playing our ball, knowing that Sassuolo already bought his replacement, so they might be pressured into accepting the bid. I don't know, man. I'm losing. I think faith has been lost. I was remaining strong, but until he hit their training grounds, I don't know if this is going to end up happening anymore. Now we're starting to hear about some alternatives. Renato Sanchez. Thoughts on Renato Sanchez if Juve could find a deal? Apparently it would be less money than Locatelli. What's your guys' thoughts on that player?
I think let me start on this one because getting back to the Locatelli thing, I'm looking at it as a bigger picture, and I think Arriva Bene and Cherubini are doing the same thing. I think I wouldn't say the season for them is a wash, but I think with Max in, I think they're just going to, take the standard quo. We have our players. If we get Locatelli in, great, but this is our bid. That's it. And I don't think they're going to bend on that. I think we have enough to win the Scudetto this year. I think they have enough to win the Scudetto this year. So I think next summer is going to be the real transfer window when you get Ronaldo off the books. I think they're really going to just be focusing on Dybala. Renato Sanchez, I'll leave it to these other two guys who are a lot smarter than me to comment on him. But I really think if the Locatelli deal gets done or not, it doesn't affect the season at all in terms of the Serie A season.
Interesting. Lewis?
Well, first I'll start with Renato Sanchez. I really like him. I think he's, he had a really good Euro, which he did in 2016. He struggled a little bit at the club level, but he's kind of been reborn a little bit at Lille. The only issue is I think that the one major problem for Juventus this year is that the Regista rule, and it's who occupies the Regista rule. And that's why I think there's so much emphasis on Locatelli. Not just that he's Italian or he's a very good player. It's just that the Regista rule really hurt us last year. So, but to piggyback off of what Anthony said in general, I do really think listening to Allegri's press conference, it's kind of clear why he was brought back. It's the, he knows some of these players and try to get some value out of them and make do with what you have. And then next year, try and offload whatever you can and really have a transfer market. But I would like to see Locatelli come in and give us a good Regista. I think it would help a lot. But I don't think it won't be the end of the world if it doesn't happen because, players come and go. That always happens.
Yeah. I find it strange because it's not strange necessarily, but when people say, oh, we need this guy over this guy, I think honestly Juve needs both the profiles because Renato Sanchez is a strong complementary midfielder, right? Mm-hmm. But we still need that main guy in the middle. And that's why it's like it's just a matter of who you talk to and their opinion as to which player profile we need most, right? Given the fact that how they're going to use Dybala potentially helps you creative wise, especially if he's playing as an attacking midfielder. That would make a profile like Locatelli's more important at the time. But again, yeah, Anthony's kind of onto something that maybe that's why Juve's kind of standing their ground more with Sassuolo in terms of this dealing, because they have this confidence in Allegri and going into the season and waiting for some financial relief, so to speak, right? With CR about to leave next season, I can't see that contract being extended. Just no way. And I'd be like incredibly shocked if Juve has any talks, any discussions throughout the season about extending Cristiano Ronaldo. And let's not forget, JP Morgan's got a 400 million euro bond that's going to be hidden Juve. We chewed through the first one that came through Exor there at 300 because of COVID. But there's another 400 mil coming there. Super League, there might be some money from those teams that jump ship. I don't know. That's going to be an interesting storyline to follow. So, yeah, there's a lot of possibilities for Juve going into next season, and Anthony might be spot on there that they're just riding things out until the end of that. Eric, we kind of lost you there for a second, but yeah, your thoughts on Sanchez as an alternative to Loca? Your thoughts on everything, just us. How do you feel about the team just going into it if, say, nothing changes other than where we're at right now?
Yeah, sorry about the internet connection.
Oh, it's all good, all good.
But it's weird. I think there's a lot of external variables that we don't know about. Finances happen to be one of them. So in terms of doing business with Locatelli, I understand that we could be 5 million off. But the last years, even 5 years, a lot of the fans have been just dragging our management through the mud because of how poorly they've done business. So, I understand the frustration of not getting the guy that you want. But if they don't focus on the business aspect of it, then we're wrapping Locatelli up in a deal that might ultimately bite us in the ass, and we wrap all this money up into him. And then what do? We get mad at our management because they didn't do better business. So I don't fault them for trying to do the best that they can to get him at the best price that they can. Sassuolo is truly in the driver's seat, to be honest with you. In terms of Locatelli and Ronaldo Sanchez, two very different types of players, but two very, very good players in their own right. I like Ronaldo Sanchez. I in the Euros, and you see his vision, you see what he does on the pitch, but I think it's about his characteristics, his role, the type of player he is, and how does he fit in our system. We could bring him in and he looks like a completely different player just based on how Max plays, how Max coaches, where he wants him. So I don't know if he would be a great fit, even though by himself as a standalone player, I think he's fantastic. But I kind of agree with Anthony. And I say kind of agree because I think if you look at our squad on paper, we're still missing an X factor. We have Cristiano Ronaldo, but there's still something that we don't have that, our squad won't intimidate you after you get out of the, to be honest with you, Ronaldo, Chiesa, and then even, Dybala. People see Dybala. I don't think they fear him the way that they should. Most of that has to do with his lack of, or his anonymity in large and big games. He doesn't show up in the big games. So it's one of those things where you don't really strike fear in your opponent when he's on the pitch, because I think he fails in those moments. But I like our squad in terms of the Scudetto. I'm a little bit hesitant in our squad in terms of, what we can do in Europe.
If I could piggyback off what Eric said there, because I agree with a lot of it, but if you get the thing with Locatelli, if you get a real regista, part of the issue with Dybala in general, tactically, is that he comes so deep to get the ball. a lot of that is because there is no creativity in our midfield. It's been like that since the year that we got eliminated. What was that? After Cardiff, before
It was
Ronaldo.
2018.
2018, yeah. So that time period, we've noticed Dybala comes deeper and deeper. We've seen it in matches before. So I think a Regista would really help him out, help Ronaldo out, help a lot of that midfield kind of go a little bit. Also, I think that the financial thing, one thing that I like hesitate, and I like to make memes about our management, have a laugh, but our management has its flaws, but it still could be worse. I mean, we're still managed to employ Ronaldo. Barcelona had to get rid of their best player. Merda is literally selling their team like a fire sale. So as much as it's an issue, it still could be worse. That's my positive side for the day.
I don't know if the rest of you guys agree, but I don't know if I can definitively and concretely say, part of the reason why Dybala comes back so much in terms of his play and abandoning his position and his role is because of lack of creativity in the midfield. We don't have the Regista. I think a lot of it has to do with the type of player that he is. He has to get on the ball. He has to, Al's made mention about this all the time. He has to touch the ball to really feel like he has to impact the game. I think that has a lot to do with why he plays so deep, because it allows him to get on the ball a lot more. So does a Regista help with that? Potentially. But does it ultimately keep him from wandering as much? I don't know if it does.
Yeah, we saw it in some games where Cristiano and Dybala were featured. Like Cristiano drifts, he drops back. There's been matches where he's come right back into the midfield to grab the ball, and Dybala's done the same. Morata's done the same. I don't know if I put it all down to the midfield. Like all our managers, even Pirlo, but sorry, even Allegri before, right before the last year there, he said these guys have all the freedom in the final third. And maybe we just gotta make it a little more rigid there and structural. I don't know, because as far as Dybala though, you guys are right. If he's not getting the ball, he's not going to impact the game. What else is he going to really do? He's a ball at the feet type player. He has to get that. He has to get into the groove, whatnot. There are matches throughout his tenure where he's gone missing completely, and the Champions League thing will probably stick with him until we see otherwise. There's been Tottenham and there's been Barcelona are the Champions League matches that kind of stand out most with him. But throughout the years, there's a lot of just anonymous outings there. But that goes with the team as well too. And when you factor in some midfield issues, I don't know. It's a tough thing to say. How do we feel about making him the center of the project now? It almost feels like, and I love Dybala, but it's again, one of these things where maybe to lean on what Anthony was saying, this is what we have. This is what we're going with. You know what I mean? And you're not going to be able to make full-scale changes like that drastic at this point in time. Dybala hits the market, whatever, they're not selling anyways. Nobody's probably going to make that move. And it's not going to be a deal Juve would like now anyways. So how much of it is actually him at the center of the project, or Juve just, saying, hey, we gotta go with this now? But how do you guys feel about him as the center of the project now?
I think we're 3 years too late, to be honest with you, given his age, and he's getting up there. But at this point, if you were to ask me who I'm building the project around, it's going to be Chiesa. I'm not building it around Dybala.
Yeah.
Well, I think the next question would be, how much is it going to cost you to get a player to build a project around? To Eric's point, you have Chiesa, and is it easier just to keep Dybala and build it around him, or is it easier to sell him and get, I don't know, what players out there can you get to build a project around? How much is that going to cost you? So, you already have two players that you can do that. So maybe Max's idea is not to build it around, even though they said to build around Dybala, but I think Eric hit that one good. I think Chiesa is going to be the man moving forward.
Yeah, I agree with both. I think that they tried it in 2018. Dybala had great numbers, but I still think that they were lacking something. hence why they went out to get Ronaldo. And that could be a little bit more, but I think that's part of it. And I don't know. It's a little weird. 28. He's had a couple of injury-spelled seasons. It's a little weird to say now we're going to invest fully in it, but we'll see. I mean, I don't really know what Max is cooking. I don't think anyone has any idea yet. So
Yeah. Yeah. And PSG in the meantime, stacking up ridiculously. Let's remember, PSG have got Ramos, Dona, Messi on free. Well, free. 50 million euros a season projected for Messi if the deal happens or whatnot. That's doesn't sound free to me, but yeah. Okay, no transfer fees, but again, there's a lot of money there. I think I just saw a report today about the highest wage bills in the top 5 leagues, and PSG just hit what was it? I'm trying to pull it up, like 600 and something million, I think, on salary. That sound right?
I saw the latest report is next year he makes 35, and then the next 2 seasons they extend it so it'll average out to 50 a season with an option on the last season.
50 a season.
Yeah.
572. Yeah. 572 million euros wage bill. That's Juventus is at 236. Christ. So
it sounds like the all Juvecast wage bill, a little bit higher.
Yeah. So Ramsey as a regista, Allegri hinting at this a couple times, talking about it more. We're probably going to see it potentially tomorrow. How do you guys feel about Ramsey playing in that role, as the club's going to need some help with Artur out, and who knows, maybe Pjanic, maybe Loca, whatever, but Ramsey kind of being it right now. How do you guys feel about him in that role? Be good for a game until he gets hurt?
Yep.
Lou?
Yeah, I'm assuming he's playing as a 6 in front of J Medical, because I have no idea how long that's going to last.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like yeah, this I think a lot of people's reactions were like, yeah, this sucks, but he'll be hurt in a game, so it's not really that big of a deal.
I've also never been overly impressed with his passing, so I really have zero idea what's going through Max's mind. He's Mad Max for a reason, but in any case, he's always played great as an 8 on the left side. So there must be some voodoo happening, some black magic, because I have no clue.
It's weird. It's like he plays that tournament for Wales and he stays perfectly healthy. He will play 20 minutes for Juve and probably go down and be out for weeks, months maybe. It's frustrating as hell with Ramsey, but I don't know. He fades in and out of decent performances and whatnot. I don't know, man. I was expecting so much more, and there's a guy taking quite a bit of money. But yeah, I don't know what Max is seeing, what he thinks. I'm not 100% sure. We'll get a glimpse of it tomorrow. Ronaldo, Morata, and Kulusevski to start up top tomorrow. That's what it's being reported. These are obviously, it's just friendlies. It's just nice I like seeing a lot of these younger guys. Ranocchia and Sule have looked fantastic in these friendlies. Ranocchia might even be sticking around at least until Artur gets better. Man, I know how strong so many feel about giving young guys shots and minutes and stuff like that, but man, maybe we should have kept Rovella around and maybe push this Pjanic thing aside. You guys lean more towards going back to the familiarity of Pjanic, or should have we kept Rovella, or maybe even integrate Ranocchia? It's extra minutes too in cameos. Like, Pjanic can't come back and be a starter. Are you guys fine if Pjanic came back and all of a sudden he's starting again?
Not regularly.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he has the minutes in his legs to do that.
I don't have the mental capacity to even have this conversation because I have zero clue, but B, because it's so up in the air between a potentially washed up Pjanic and a guy who we just know is not going to get minutes. I mean, I'd probably get a better answer if I asked the wall to see what they had to say on this matter. I really don't want to waste and put time and effort into having the conversation, man.
About playing a young guy instead of bringing back Pjanic?
About playing a young guy that we know that's not going to get minutes versus a guy that probably doesn't deserve minutes, but we're going to go back to because of familiarity. But the guy looks like I'll probably get slack for this. The guy looks like he just escaped Auschwitz.
Yeah.
You know, he looked like he had a horrible time at Barcelona, and we got a guy who just doesn't look like he's in any mental or physical shape to be a starter. And you hit it. Like, why bring him back if he's not going to start? Because he's not someone who wants to sit on the bench. You know, it's a Demerol situation all over again.
It's weird, man, thinking about Pjanic coming back. Like, I mean, all the frustrations on the past couple seasons and then now, again, as an extra option, I would still just go with somebody. And you're talking about a guy that's not going to get minutes in a youngster. But the thing is that maybe they've got a future at Juve, whatnot. I'd still rather put a guy that's got a set of legs and a motor to him than what I saw at Pjanic. I don't know. Anthony, you've been awfully quiet over there.
I don't want to completely agree with Eric because I'd be wrong on a couple levels. But
just agree, but not
just the slow grind of Antonio, who's another member of the All Juvecast here, the slow grind that he has on the team on how he feels about Pjanic, and I disagreed with him last week, but throughout this week he's really been, grinding that grain with that rock. I wouldn't be against it bringing him back in. The more I think about it, and I'm just looking at the roster here on the other screen, is Rovella gone? He sold? He's sold then?
He's on loan
No, he's on loan, yeah, and they can't take it back now unless they paid.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be against. I know this is going to make Antonio very, very happy that somebody finally agrees with him, but I wouldn't be against it based on Artur's condition currently and when he's expected to come back. And I'm not on that Fajoli train. I loan him out. I didn't see much from him, so I wouldn't be against Pjanic coming back.
Yeah,
if we can get him at low wages, loan, the financials would have to work for sure.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. He makes 8.5, and the last report said that Barcelona and Juve are going to split it, but both clubs are broke. So, I don't know. Apparently we can't afford an extra $4 million for Locatelli. So,
it's crazy to me too. So even if you wanted to make that move, all of a sudden now it's like you're splitting these salaries and whatnot. It's like, what's the point? Another reason just to not do it. And then all of a sudden you've got Rugani, like when we were looking at moving him, whatever, and then Juve's got to pick up his wages or whatever, or like a big chunk of them. It's like, what the hell are we doing? We got to just sometimes find some answers within. That's all I'm saying. It's just like and historically throughout these seasons, I've been talking about this a lot. If you go back and you look at moves we made and how we got in these bad contracts that everybody complains about all the time, there were answers within and players we could have utilized, even brought back from loan. We didn't have to keep them or make careers out of them, but there was answers we could have found much, much easier out of guys that were performing at that time. Just quick little examples for filling cameo minutes rather than pulling guys in, even if they were free, and get like Mondragor or Solini when he went on that tear or whatever, could have been just a lone callback just to help out even for a year, whatever, and then sell them. Regardless, there's been times we could utilize those better. Lou, you were going to say something.
Yeah, just about like some of the youth. I think that Juve in general could do a little better of a job with that. I mean, you take someone like Barota, who a lot of us, by the end of the season last year, were kind of like, well, he's not really that good. They still managed to find a club in Serie A from him, from what someone saw from him last year. So you never really know. Like, if you're playing a team like Sampdoria, right, or you're playing the Coppa Italia, why not try and give a guy some minutes? Let's just see. Like I said, the Fagioli train because he's 2021. Like, this is the time to loan him. But have someone who's 18, like Ranocchia last year had a very good year with the under 23s. Why not see in like 30 minutes of a game where you're up 2-3-0? Like, why not give him some minutes? Why not just try and see it? But again, it's all kind of hypothetical because I really think we'll probably see a lot of these guys before these youth players anyway, because they're on higher wages and they got to sell a lot of them. So
Yeah,
it'll be weird.
Yeah. Bentancur. People talking about Bentancur. Bentancur is not going to be Regista.
No.
That's just flat out. Like, he won't be there with Allegri. So people say, yeah, like, it just won't. Will Allegri be able to get Bentancur back to his best? He played his best under Sarri, though. And the funny thing was, is that everybody's like, oh, well, Bentancur was fantastic under Sarri. Sarri did use him kind of in multiple roles, too. So I don't really know what the scoop is with Bentancur. He's a weird one for me because it hasn't always been bad when he's played just ahead of the defense. It's kind of, he's just streaky no matter where the hell he is on the pitch for you. But your guys' thoughts on Bentancur? Will he have a positive season this season under Allegri?
I'm a big fan of Bentancur. I always have been. He's only 24. Still lots of time for him. He's one of the players. I'm not going to say you build a team around, but I think he should be one of the players that shouldn't be moved in the long run. I agree that he's not a regista, but he is that player that can play beside the regista. So I'm a big fan of his, and I really, really hope that they don't move him.
Yeah, they also have that massive sell-on clause with Bolka, so he really can't be moved. Not now, anyways. But your guys' thoughts on Bentancur? Anthony's a fan of him. Eric?
He's a regista if the alternative's Ramsey. I'd definitely put him in front of defense. But I've always thought he was well suited for the Mezzala role. Plays well for Uruguay when he's there. He's with Uruguay, yeah.
That's the national side.
I was like, there's so many Latin American teams, but I think he's, in my prediction under Max, he would be, given our midfield even completely healthy with Arthur, he would actually be my Mezzala on the right side. I think if you give him the proper help, proper system, you put him on the right side. If Cuadrado's the right back and Chiesa's the right winger, I think it really opens up space for him depending on the formation that they run. I'm a fan. I think he's one of the guys, one of a very few that's going to have a bit of a resurgence under Max. I think he'll get the most out of him, and he'll put him in the proper role.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm a big fan of Bentancur, and it's funny, like the fans that have really turned against him. Like, of all our midfielders, Bentancur under Sarri like probably had the best full season from start to finish. Right, there was no real dips or loops in form under Sarri, and yet he kind of is the one that takes the most flack, or one of the ones that takes a lot of flack. But I agree with Eric. He belongs on the right side of midfield. Max played him there. Sarri played him there. And when he was younger, when he first got signed, Max played him in a lot of games that were really sudden for an 18 or a young 20-year-old. Played a couple games in the Champions League. I think there was that infamous one against Tottenham at home where he started over Marquisio. He played him in a lot of games, so it shows kind of his faith in him. But I'll be curious to see what Max can do, because the big thing that Max always said was that Bentancur didn't shoot enough. For Uruguay, he gets forward a lot and he creates a lot in the box. So I wonder if Max can kind of figured that out. Sarri got pieces of it, but not enough. But Max always the big thing Max used to say about him was that he doesn't shoot enough around the box. So I kind of want to see if we can get that part of his game out. See if we can get a couple goals here and there.
Yeah, see if he can get into supporting and making those runs in the box and stuff. And yeah, because McKennie was doing well halfway through last season at doing that. And then obviously he had some setbacks, whatnot. If everything remained the same, how would you deploy in the middle of the park for Juve? If nothing changed, no additions, this is our roster. While we wait for Arthur, and then when Arthur's back, in case it changes for you guys.
I think I'd play a 2-man midfield again. If Dybala's fit, I go 4-2-3-1.
And who are your pivots?
It'd be Bentancur and probably Rabiot. I don't like Rabiot, but I don't think there's another person that can play that pivot. If it's a 3, I guess I'd go Bentancur, McKennie, Rabiot before Arthur gets back.
Yeah. I think Rabiot's in there for me either way.
Has to be.
Rabiot has to be. I think McKennie, I would have him if we go 3-man midfield. Rabiot on one side, McKennie on the other. Arthur, while Arthur's out, if all things stay the same, I still would go Bentancur in the middle of those 3. Definitely before Ramsey. I'd even put Danilo out there ahead of the defense before I put Ramsey. Like it's crazy to me. Like I'd probably do the same thing we did last year a couple times with utilizing Danilo ahead of those guys. Yeah, it's crazy to me. I don't know, Max, maybe see some there, but when Arthur's back, does it change? Arthur automatically in that spot?
At least in the 3, yeah, I think so. He'd probably take the register role.
Yeah.
Another thing we haven't mentioned is that does Max think that maybe he can get more distribution on Bonucci this year than Pirlo did? Because that's, Bonucci's very good with the ball at his feet. Again, coming off of a really good Euro where he was good at getting the ball further forward. Does Max think that he can maybe unlock that a little bit more this year, at least until they find another solution?
Yeah. Well, that's a nice little blueprint for Juve is how Mancini used that 4-3-3, right? Hanging one fullback, keeping him back. Most likely Sandro. He keeps himself back. And then pushing through the other side, whether it be Danilo or Cuadrado. We're still uncertain about how Cuadrado is going to be used. So that's kind of a little bit of a wild card, I guess, for Juve because he could be a winger, could play at right back. Yeah, attacking through one side. Chiesa keeping the other team stretched. And we'll see. But again, question mark becomes Ronaldo. Where does he play? Will he slot into that forward central role? I don't see it. I think he'll still be on the left side. Morata will be up top. Kyle Jorge, I don't know what's going to happen there with minutes or whatnot, but an alternative to Morata. The nice thing about him is apparently he can play right across in any of those spots, which will be interesting to see how many minutes he gets going into this season. But yeah, speaking of this season, who do you think is a player? This is a good question for all you guys. That's going to make an impact. That's not one of the top guys. Ronaldo, Chiesa, Morata, Dybala. Like, who's an outsider that you think is going to have a big season this year?
Start with this guy right here.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of shouts for Aaron's boy.
This one.
Yeah, I think our new number 20 is going to have
Big number change.
A new number 20. I do, and I don't think a lot of people realize just sometimes how psychological that could be. Like just getting rid of something that you carried with you and having a clean slate, if you will, a fresh start. I mean, a number change to some people is like, it's not going to change the way that you play the game. It might, because it starts with the mentality. And if he feels like this number is more suited for him, which he's always played well with the 20. anything in the 20s, 20 and 29. He's played well with the 10 for the Azzurri, and he doesn't do it often, but when he does, he's always played well. But I won't get into him getting a 10 at Juve. However, I really think that, just the number change, just the psychological effect of it, I think he finds much more success, probably to the point where it's going to piss a lot of Juventini off, because if he plays just well enough, I can see them extending him. He's on such low wages anyway, to be honest with you. He's pulling in, I think, 4. He's second lowest. I think Bentancur was the lowest person on our wage bill. He doesn't take a whole lot from you, but he gives you a lot more versatility. So, and I also mentioned, I think Bentancur has a much better season, given that the guy who signed him to begin with is back to being his coach. And those two, I feel like, are going to have a huge. Everybody else, I feel like, played at a pretty consistent level last year, just kind of above the standard. So you can make claims for McKinney, but I thought McKinney actually, despite his injury, played well. Rabiot turned out to be, like, later in the season, our best midfielder. That tells you how shit the rest of them were. And then everybody else is kind of just, you expect them to play at a high level.
There you go.
So Eric says everybody. That's his answer. Everybody.
Yeah, Max is going to elevate the entire squad. There's no doubt about that. But I'm taking guys who probably have been in a slump, and Bernardeschi's one.
Bernardeschi, Eric's call. Anthony.
I would say McKinney, only because the second half of the year, with the injuries, he kind of had a downswing coming from a lower level league like the Bundesliga to the Serie A. It's it's a learning curve. So I think Max, to use a word that Eric used, is going to unlock him. I think he's the attacking player out of the midfield that he's really. I hope he's going to thrive under Max. So I think, okay, he had a great year last year at the beginning. Bit of a lower second half. There's excuses for that, but for me, he would be the next one. He would take that next step. I would say Kulusevski, but I just don't think he's going to get a lot of playing time over the other winger. So I would choose McKennie.
McKennie's a good shout. So Bernardeschi too. We got Alex, friend of the podcast here. He threw out 7 goals and 7 assists for Bernardeschi this season. And yeah, I'm gonna follow that one closely because Alex has been mudding me lately on some calls, so we're gonna follow that one. But honestly, I'd be fucking so pumped if he did hit those numbers, man, and I want him to, obviously. So we'll see. Lewis, who's your call?
Yeah, well, first I would say I agree with both Anthony and Eric that all those players mentioned are on my list of players that I'm watching closer this year to see what they can do. I think Kulusevski has potential to have a very good season. I think that, Max's comments about him post the friendly, when he was talking about, how he needs to stop trying to curl with his left foot and shoot more direct, are kind of what you need with Kulusevski. He needs someone that's kind of on top of him. Is like, hey, cut the bad habits, cut the bullshit. Like, just play simple, play your strong suits. Don't go for the flair. I know that he had a lot of ups and downs last year, but coming off the high of the Coppa Italia, his cameo at the Euro was pretty decent. I'm curious to see what Max can do with him, because there is talent there. We just haven't seen it fully yet. So
yeah. AJ saying those are going to be Dybala's numbers, not Berna's. Francisco, I supported Bernardeschi once, and he had his worst game. Never again. Yeah, you kind of jinxed him there. Francisco.
Don't ever support him again.
Jesus. I think those were all good shouts, man.
Let me shoulder that.
Honestly, I think I probably lean right now just out of the hop McKennie, and that's just because of the incredible condition he showed up to camp in, like super lean. I don't know, and I think he's going to be better utilized by Max. Just in terms of last season, when I think about how Pirlo had him in that shifting outside mid role and kind of looked lost at times. I think Allegri will help him find some continuity in his game. So I'm kind of leaning towards McKennie, but those are all really, really good shouts. I think Bernardeschi, the biggest thing is how Max uses him, how often, how he uses him, where he plays him, because that's always been the thing with Berna is he's been, honestly, like, for all the shit and abuse he takes, he's played everywhere and he's never said a word. You know, like, he might have said a word just like a couple months back when he talked about the difference between playing at Juve and playing for the Azzurri. And I said it, he wasn't wrong in what he said, because he's like, at the Azzurri, I know my role, I know where I play, and you could just go out and do it. But at Juve, he's literally been everywhere. He was playing fucking fullback. If you would have ever said at one point, yeah, Bernardeschi would be left back or whatnot, it's like, what? You know, so you got to respect the guy a bit in terms of that, for sure. Like, he's just never said a peep, gone about his business and done his thing. The number 20, the change, like, we all seen a different player. The guy stepped up too and took important PKs, and probably took the best PKs out of the guys stepping up there. Yeah, take that 20, try and emulate whatever the hell you're doing. Eat the same, like, fucking put that Azzurri jersey on underneath the Juve one. I don't care what the hell you have to do, but be that guy for us. So we'll see what ends up happening, how Allegri uses him and whatnot. Kulusevski is an interesting call by Lewis there. He's one that I think suffered probably most out of the experiments out of Pirlo, and how he was using players and where we were finding Kulusevski. Not only that, but also the players we have, and we talked about earlier about like Dybala wanting the ball and everything like that. Kulusevski is the same. Kulusevski and Dybala, they cannot play the same. Anthony catching the kiss there. Oh, that's nice,
sorry.
guys.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so Kulusevski kind of all over the place with Pirlo and stuff too. How would you guys deploy Kulusevski with Allegri? Does he have to stay out on the wing? Can he be that attacking mid? Where do you like him most? Where do you see him excelling most?
I think Kulusevski and Bernardeschi are going to occupy the same position wherever they go. For me, they both left pegs. Bernardeschi, with the national team, he looked better, in that central midfielder behind the striker role. But he's gonna try and send them out both on the wings, on the right wing or left wing. But I'd like to see Bernardeschi more in a central role. Kulusevski played that a little bit with the national team as well, with his national team as well. But I just don't think they're going to get playing time with Juventus in that position where I think they excel the most, more centrally.
Yeah, because with the Azzurri, Berna was used left side like as an alternative to Insigne, and then he had the freedom to cut in because that was the side our fullback would attack from, right? But Kulusevski, I see him as an alternative if we play 4-2-3-1 to Dybala too, in behind forwards. I see him like potentially doing really, really well there. But yeah, probably just a winger. We'll have to see. So if all things stay the same, and it's interesting, this week we got to celebrate Inter kind of collapsing a bit. A little bit of meltdowns, this Lukaku thing going on with Chelsea and whatnot, and watching it. And then you hear comments like, why are you happy? Because we need these star players in Serie A. And you start getting that discussion going. Look, I'm all for the top players being at Serie A and everything like that. However, I will never, ever give a shit about Merda. I will not do it. And I have family members that are fans of them. I have good friends who support Inter, but it doesn't change how I feel about that club. Everybody else could get stronger in the league, and I'm all for the league being strong, but ultimately I care about Juventus. Juve only just the same way they didn't give a shit in 06 about Juve. So those sentiments stay the same regardless. What are your guys' thoughts when you hear about Juventini needing to be sympathetic for that club? I can't stand it personally.
Fuck them. That's what I think. Excuse my language. Like,
I think
Yeah.
it's I've never been one of those, folks that just sympathized for that. Do you think Bayern Munich walks through their trophy room and they look at all the titles that they won from Bundesliga and go, this one was from when we bought everybody from Dortmund, so this one has an asterisk next to it, and this one is next, has an asterisk next to it because this team got hurt. No, they're walking through their trophy room and they're advertising it and they're showing everybody how strong they are and how many people want to play for them. That's my mentality. If our rivals are getting weakened, sell everybody. I don't care. Give us a guaranteed Scudetto so that we can focus on Europe. It's like I have zero empathy and sympathy for teams that are crumbling. Congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah, I just like to say that, like, all these fans like talk about this. It's not good for the league. Well, what about the fact that no other team owns a stadium?
What about the fact that Serie A players dominated the Euros? I really don't care.
Yeah, it's just like
that is, and Lewis is on something there too, because and it's not for the club's sake too. It's the actual people that run the league, like, and the government and FIGC, like, they've been hindering this league for so fucking long, because if it doesn't fill their pockets in some way, shape, or form, they won't allow these teams to do anything. How many teams have presented new stadiums and tried to do this, and then you hear it's a go, and then all of a sudden shuts right down? They're shooting themselves in the foot. But it's no surprise Juve started to try to get involved and create this Super League and Agnelli and whatnot, because he's a smart fucking business guy. And why would you continue to latch on and try to like attach yourself and associate yourself with these guys that are going absolutely nowhere, or try to start something new, start something fresh? And in turn, it could actually have helped the league if they did profit sharing from Super League and everything like that. How they could work with you. It's good. How they presented it was awful.
Yeah,
how they presented the Super League in such the most arrogant way you could ever imagine. But honestly, now when you're seeing this, and the same guys that are bitching about star players leaving Serie A are the same guys that were saying no to the Super League because football is for the fans. Well, fuck, here's PSG and that oil money, and fucking there you have it. So Serie A is caught in a bad time, and these stars, DePaul, Donnarumma, Hakimi, Lukaku, like, there's so much to it. It's not just Serie A. You have Inter that came in here that literally bankrupt themselves to take the Scudetto, to fuel Conte's fucking ego. And what did he do? Boop. See you later. Pulled the Conte, said, no, I'm out, because now you can't keep any of your star players. Well, no shit, because they went out and gave you everything you needed to do what you did. And everybody saw it a mile away that, yeah, Inter's going to do this and they're going to set themselves back. That's exactly what happened. This is not a league thing. So to put that situation on Serie A, no. That's just Inter coming in here and bankrupting themselves.
Also, too, like, one thing that nobody talks about is business models. Like you said, Merda literally bankrupt themselves for one Scudetto. I mean, we've been talking about Atalanta in the chat. Sorry, Ann, but we've been talking about them in the chat. But they buy players cheap. They sell them for a lot of money. They're bringing in a lot more revenue. They want to build their own stadium in a couple of years. Like, the rest of Serie A, like, why can't you try and take that business model? Even Milan have had a good business model the last 2-3 years. Hey, like, Donnarumma like tried to strong arm us. We're not going to get in that. We're going to go get the next best player we could get. And then the whole like, oh well, we're losing stars. Like, a lot of Italy's Euro team is still in Serie A. Like, a lot of stars that were born in the Euro are still there. So we can't just say that like, yeah, we've lost some big players, but it's not like we've lost like everyone, right? We still have Ronaldo for Christ's sake, it's not the end of the world, So
Well,
Yeah.
another thing too is like out of the major stars that are leaving, a lot of them actually were well established in other leagues before they came to our league. So it's like you can't stake your claim on that star leaving Serie A and causing an issue when Lukaku's only been here for 2 seasons. Hakimi was only here for 1 season. He came from the Bundesliga, and then because he was on loan from Real Madrid. So it's like, so you're making an argument to for players that really weren't even established in Serie A. So what's the point?
Yeah. Great point here. Being brought up is just Juve always in the black for like the last 9 years and then balancing books, making profit. I actually said that on the Calcio Connection show I went on. I just said nobody can account for COVID, and they got caught just always banking on how they did business, right? Juve was fine carrying a deficit. They didn't care. In the summer, you make your moves, whatever, you just get the books right, and then you move on, right? But fucking COVID just hit them at the worst possible time, worst possible time because of the bad contracts that mounted up that we had to buy out and CR, right? And again, this isn't a knock on CR. Everybody takes it as a knock on CR, but it's just the reality of the weight of that contract and wages. Yeah, it just hit. Everything hit. It was a perfect storm. And now, like we were saying earlier with the Locatelli thing, it's like, shit, all those reports of that deal being totally fine, regardless of sales or anything like that, obviously isn't really the case. And the financial situation, Agresti, Miracle, they're all saying it. There's nothing there. And even the Demiral, like Agresti said, the Demiral thing doesn't change anything. The Romero money doesn't change anything. It's not there. The reports dating back months ago, halfway through the season, were by the end of June, Juve had to pull in $100 million in capital. What have we pulled in? Like 18.
Well, I think part of that though is they're shooting their own selves in the foot here. So they're willing to send players on loan with an option to buy, not obligation to buy. In my personal opinion, I think a lot of that is due to the fact that the market value for these players, they're not being looked at in their eyes as what they want for them. I would take a $5 to $10 million loss on a guy that you can get legitimate, principal money for in turn, and then instead of getting $3 million towards to a loan and then an option to buy, and yet you're still stuck with their wages. So a part of me, I don't know, but I feel like there's a couple guys that they could have sold, could have unloaded, for under what they truly wanted them for, but they could have got them off the books, but instead they opted for the loan with the option to buy. Because how many of the guys that we have on loan with the options are going to be purchased by the club that they're being loaned to?
And that was my issue with the Demiral deal. It's not the fact of getting rid of him, because I understand the whole scenario, but it's the option that kills me. Get a deal done. Like, at least get an obligation in there, even if you have to take a little bit less, whatever, just make the sale final. What happens if he gets hurt seriously or whatnot? You've got an option. They won't exercise it, and then you're stuck. You're stuck.
Juventus isn't in the position of power in that negotiation. They have to get rid of the player. So it's almost the reverse of the Locatelli deal. Like, Juventus wants to unload Demiral, and they have to take what they can get.
They could have sold him for 15. I guarantee you somebody would have bought him for 15 million, but they wanted 30 for him. So you miss out on 15 million to pay some of your debt, or you loan him in hopes that someone's willing to buy him at the market value that you set for him. And that's the issue that I have is 15 million, let's just say hypothetical numbers that I guarantee you Atalanta would have purchased him for, is better than 0 million.
I don't really speak in hypotheticals. I doubt there was even any offers to buy him.
But here's the thing:
in this market, in this year's, maybe next year there'll be like you got to get him some minutes, and maybe you can get an offer. But there's nobody spending money this year, so I really doubt there is somebody putting offers down. Oh, and by the way, getting back to the Inter thing, I hope they finish 9th for the next 25 years. just outside of Europe,
Of
just
course.
languish in 9th place every year. That would make me the happiest person in the world.
But the
Sorry,
thing
Al,
with
go
the
ahead.
Demerol thing here is where you said we have to move the player. Well, why? Because he wanted the minutes and he wanted to go, and just you don't want to keep that guy around. Like, what's this? We have to though. I don't think it's a we have to.
Yeah.
We had to move
You said it.
Demerol. I don't think it was we had to. Because
I'm a
Sassuolo and
Demerol fan.
Locatelli is the same situation, and they're not fucking budging.
I'm saying there's a lot of people saying he has to be moved. I'm a Demerol fan. I thought we should have kept him and moved Rugani on. I'm saying if that player you want him, if you want to move him, there's no buyers. There's no buyers right now. So if you want to get him off your books somewhat, it's a loan this year.
So we couldn't have sold Demerol to Tottenham over Romero?
Do you think Tottenham's interested in him?
Did we make him presentable?
Not with his injuries.
But I think
he's not presentable.
Well,
for less than 50 million.
Atalanta was going after him, and again, it's frustrating because Rugani can surely get another loan. Like Rugani, a DeCilio, like those are your loan guys. But like when you're taking a guy like Demerol, and just with all the context there, like injury risk, like all this, whatnot, to not have something that's kind of concrete, it just kind of like, I don't know.
I'm not saying he's not worth that money. I'm just saying there's no one offering that money this year.
Yeah, but you had Atalanta, like again, they've done loan, they've done option, which is exactly what they did with Romero. But again, no obligation on Demerol. Fucking push. Stick to your guns and just push. Yeah, you want Demerol? Okay, great. Fucking obligation. I don't know. I think they could have pushed a little bit more, or at least stuck to their guns. Everybody else does it with us, and we just like suffer year in, year out. It's crazy. Maybe we just need to move to the Caio Jorge style and just hijack everybody else's fucking deals and just go straight to the player.
Not a bad model.
Fuck, here we go.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird because this situation kind of happened with Rugani a couple of years ago, where like Chelsea was super interested and they they offered a lot of money, and Juve was like, "No, we got like a long-term plan," and then kind of fell apart. But it's interesting. I agree with Anth. I think that there is a very limited market right now. A lot of teams suffered last year, and I think that unless it was a Premier League team, we probably didn't see a large offer. There was the rumors about Dortmund, but I don't know if there was any truth to that. It's really frustrating regardless, though. It's just that, you see that like loan option to buy, and you're like, it's kind of quick to just be like, all right, we want the option. But again, we don't really know like goes on behind the scenes anyway to begin with.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just left a bad taste, especially when you're going in again, like we were talking earlier, like Rugani as a fourth center back. It's like Rugani and DeCilio, like again, it's just they're Juve's Make-A-Wish Foundation footballers. Like I swear to God, it's like Juve's Make-A-Wish project where we're gonna take these subpar footballers and make their dreams come true and just hang around Juventus for their lifetime. It's crazy to me, man.
I blame Luca Morone for that because he's been on my books. Fagica's the new Luca Morone.
All right. Bernardo Silva asking for a transfer from Man City. Juve's interested, but we can't afford a case of beer right now. But we want Bernardo Silva, apparently in Atletico Madrid.
Next
Bernardo
question.
Silva, what do you guys think on this player? Just the player. Let's talk about just the player. And if they're just hypothetically fitting into this roster.
Good player. I mean,
Great player. I think great player.
Yeah, I mean, I'd sell Kulusevski tomorrow if we could sign Bernardo Silva. Play him down the right, Chiesa down the left, Ronaldo in the middle. Champions League.
Ronaldo won't go in the middle though, man.
We'll figure it out. He's not coming anyway.
No, Bernardo Silva is a deadly player, but these pipe dreams of these Juventus has all these targets. We just don't have the cash to get it done.
Have we been linked with Messi yet? I'm a little disappointed that didn't happen.
That's
I
kind of a funny thing.
I don't think it was.
It's like what we've just gone through 3 seasons and seeing, how we kind of handicapped ourselves with that Ronaldo deal. And then the second Messi becomes available, Juve needs to get him. We need to get you. It's like, where have you been? Where have you been to just see we cannot do these things? It's funny. It's funny. I saw something really, really funny that was Messi to Napoli. That was funny. Their fans just dreaming. He does the Maradona and head over there or whatnot. No.
I bet he's just drooling to go play for Spalletti. I'm sure of it.
I saw a couple of tweets this week, these last couple of days, that said that it's inevitable that Juve make the Champions League final in the next 2 to 3 years and lose to PSG and Messi, because it's like the Barcelona.
But that's a respectable thing. Like, if we go to the finals and you have that PSG team, there's much more pressure on them to win it than for us to lose it. Like, it's expected. Like, you're gonna lose. So. There's going to be so much pressure and egos in that locker room, man. It's
scenes when PSG just chokes again.
Yeah, I think I'm going to throw up when I see Ramos hug Messi after the first time they score. It's going to be really weird, like
that team's it's actually like ridiculous. I don't know. Realistically here, all things the same, roster the same, whatnot. Are we winning the Scudetto this year?
Oh, yeah.
By Valentine's Day.
By Valentine's Day. There's this
shit.
Eric, we winning the Scudetto this year?
Absolutely. Not for any other reason, because Max is the best coach in Serie A and top coach in the world. So yeah.
Yeah.
Takes us to the
like
Scudetto.
Last year, it's ours to lose again. So I think our squad's still the best one. It's got some issues, but I think it's still the best one. I think we have the best coach, which helps. I don't with Inter gone. Milan might make a run, but I don't know if they have enough to last the whole year. We know Atalanta haven't shown us they have enough to last the whole year. So I think Juve can lock it up this year.
Yeah. AJ saying he finds it sad Messi went to the only club which can afford him. Purely financial. 100% Scudetto is ours. Yeah, I'm in. Champions League. Where do you think we fall with Max?
Semifinals. No, nothing less. With Max.
Semifinals.
With Max at the helm. Here's the thing too, and I thought about this, is that the more and more people that City and PSG are buying up, that's less talent for other teams to get strengthened by. So God forbid something wild happens and City gets eliminated and PSG gets eliminated. Tell me another team out there that's got all of these ballers and a strong team. That would eliminate such a strong pool of players in itself. It could truly make a way for, a couple other clubs to smooth sailing into the finals. So that's kind of what I'm hoping.
Eric, that's a really good point, because that's kind of how Chelsea won last year. PSG and City got on the same side of the bracket. Chelsea ended up in the final. And in the final, anything can happen. So I think the quarterfinals would be my bet, but I could see us in the semifinals. If things go right, I could see it. I mean, we have
zero expectations. Zero expectation for Champions League this year. The further the better. But I want to see the team focus on the Scudetto this year. This is going to be another off year for me. Not as bad as COVID, but just get the Scudetto, and then we'll the 2022-23 season make a run at it. But Eric makes a good point. We have the team. Someone gets knocked out. Max, we have the coach. Same rosters last year. Players all play with each other. You can make a run for sure.
Yeah, I think we go at least a round deeper than we have the past 3. Okay. At least a round deeper.
Quarters.
Outside of that, we'll have to see some luck falling our way, see who we draw, all that. But yeah, the optimism's there with Max. We'll have to see if he can get it done. And let's go with way too early to call, or way too early predictions on MVP of the season. Who's going to be the guy this year? All things stay the same. This is our roster.
Juventus's MVP?
Yeah, way too early rankings we're calling it.
Well, I already said Ronaldo's banging 40 goals this year, so he's going to be the MVP. I'll go with Ronaldo this year.
Yeah, and if you guys don't remember, when he came the first year under Max, I think like the first 4 or 5 games, he might have been the most unlucky sumbitch in the universe, because I think he had like 8-10 goals off the post. Keepers were playing out of their mind.
Ramsey stole his first one.
Yeah, so I really think that Ronaldo's going to be the MVP. Chiesa's close second. I think Chiesa's going to just continue his form, but I think Ronaldo ends up on the final product of a lot of games.
For the sake of being different, I'm going to throw Chiesa in there, but I agree with you guys. It'll probably be Ronaldo. I think he'll have 35-40 goals this year.
Chiesa MVP. Morata. Tells.
Way too emotional. He's got to get his mental.
Chiesa, without a doubt. Wow.
Morata's broken after the Euros. We broke him. So if he gets 10 goals, I'm happy.
I don't disagree with the Ronaldo goals. He will get a lot of them, but the goals don't always reflect MVP. I got to go with Chiesa. I think Chiesa's going to be the MVP. I think he's just going to carry off what he's been doing. Massive Euros. And just keep the momentum going, man. This kid's a beast. But yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. 40 goals. Anthony's getting held to that one.
4-0.
We'll make him shotgun a beer or something on the show if it doesn't happen. We'll have to find something for his shaming. And AJ throwing out Bonucci as MVP. Probably nothing to do with the fact you just purchased a Bonucci New Jersey, AJ, but no, that's cool. Bonucci as his MVP. Interesting shout. I would like to, maybe throw somebody out of our midfield to just blow everybody away, because there's going to be one midfielder that's going to be just stellar under Allegri. It's got a couple possibilities. Rabiot is interesting, and somebody brought up the comment too and said he literally signed with Juve to be a part of Allegri's team, and then Allegri took off and he got sorry. So I'm interested to see now that he's got the coach that he actually was drawn to. So we'll go with that and see. AJ saying, or the fact Bonucci was the MVP of the Euros. Was he though? He's up there. I don't know. MVP of the Euros. He's up there though. He's up there. Probably go Chiellini over him just to not give you the satisfaction, AJ, but that's okay. Anyways, guys, it's been a blast. Always fun chatting Juve. We'll continue to monitor all the situations and have some fun, have these weekly roundups. Eric, Anthony, Lewis, always a pleasure. Everybody that joined us live, a lot of new faces in the chat too. We thank you and welcome you to the All Juvecast. Keep liking the videos, subscribe to the channel. It all helps. And make sure you check out the sponsor, Striped Hearts Apparel, for all your Juve merch. Look at Anthony rocking the Lealta. And
unpaid advertising right there. Unpaid.
We got to make some muscle shirts now at Striped Hearts Apparel for Joey Guns up top here. I'll get on that. But yeah, thanks everybody again. We'll be back next week for another roundup. Forza Juve, fino alla fine. Ciao.